Being a professional cheerleader might seem like the dream job from the outside. Glamorous outfits, high-energy performances, and the thrill of being in the spotlight. But what's the reality behind the pom-poms and the applause? The pressure to look perfect, the physical toll, and the emotional exhaustion can make the role much tougher than it seems. If you've ever been a cheerleader or have seen someone struggle in this role, what do you think is the hardest part? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. The life of a professional cheerleader is a constant balancing act. You're juggling long practice hours, maintaining your body, dealing with the mental pressure, and still having to perform with an infectious smile. But no one truly understands what it feels like to be in your shoes until you're living it. You're expected to be perfect, but perfection doesn't come easily. One of the hardest aspects of being a professional cheerleader is the constant evaluation. You're not just judged on your performance, you're judged on your appearance, your attitude, and how you present yourself at all times. No one tells you that your personal life has to be put on hold, that every time you walk into a public space, you're still representing the team. The pressure to stay perfect, both physically and mentally, can feel suffocating. You don't get the luxury of a bad day. You're expected to be cheerful, energetic, and flawless every single time, no matter what's going on in your personal life. The stress of constantly being on can be overwhelming. And then there's the emotional toll that no one talks about. Cheerleaders are expected to be the embodiment of positivity, but sometimes it feels like you're not allowed to have a bad day. If you're feeling down or tired or hurt, you can't show it. You're supposed to keep the energy high, keep the smiles big, and stay enthusiastic, even when you're dealing with your own struggles. It's mentally exhausting to keep that upbeat persona going, and over time, it can leave you feeling drained and disconnected from your true self. The lack of career security is another factor that adds to the stress. Many cheerleaders work seasonally or on short contracts, meaning there's little stability. After every season, you're unsure whether you'll make the cut to return or whether your contract will be renewed. And when it's time to move on from cheerleading, there's no set path forward. For many, it's a job that doesn't provide long-term financial security or career growth, which can be disheartening after dedicating so many years to it. Yet, despite all these challenges, being a professional cheerleader is still something that many pursue with passion. The energy of the crowd, the rush of performing in front of thousands, the feeling of being part of something bigger, these moments keep you coming back. But behind those smiles and routines, there's a lot of work, sacrifice, and pressure that often goes unnoticed. So, while being a cheerleader might seem like all glitter and glamour, the reality is much tougher. It's about pushing your limits, constantly performing, and dealing with the expectations and sacrifices that come with it. It's about the grind that no one sees and the emotional weight that often gets ignored. But still, you cheer on, because for those few moments when everything clicks, it feels worth it, even when it sucks. Despite the bright lights, the applause, and the glamour, being a professional cheerleader is one of the most misunderstood roles in sports. You're constantly putting yourself out there, showing the world the energy and enthusiasm they expect, while inside, you're dealing with exhaustion, doubt, and an overwhelming sense of isolation. Everyone sees the high-flying stunts and the energetic routines, but no one talks about the hours of practice, the injuries, or the emotional toll it takes on your mental health. One of the hardest parts about this job is that you're always in the background. The team gets all the credit, the win, the glory, the spotlight. As a cheerleader, you don't get to score the points or make the headlines. Your role is about supporting, hyping the crowd, and maintaining energy, but your contribution is often overlooked. After a game, the players are praised, the coach is interviewed, but you're forgotten until the next performance. It's a thankless job, but one you do with passion because you love the sport, the team, and the performance. The reality is that being a cheerleader also requires constant self-control. You're expected to be a flawless performer, physically fit, emotionally positive, and always ready to go, no matter how you feel. If you're injured, you still have to cheer because you're part of a team, and that's what you've been taught to do. There's no room for weakness, and the culture of perfection makes it feel as though showing any vulnerability would make you less of a professional. As your body suffers from repeated injuries or exhaustion, the expectations never change. The only thing that seems to matter is the next performance, the next routine, the next game. In addition to the physical toll, the emotional strain is just as damaging. Cheerleaders often act as the face of the team, engaging with the crowd, keeping the energy high, and maintaining a positive persona for the fans. But underneath that mask, you're dealing with personal struggles, whether it's stress from work, relationships, or the pressure to maintain your appearance and performance. You can't always talk about how you feel, because it seems like you're letting everyone down if you do. The mental exhaustion of always having to be upbeat, energetic, and perfect can eventually lead to burnout, leaving you questioning if it's all worth it. And let's talk about the fleeting nature of the job. Cheerleading, while exhilarating, is often a temporary career for most people. The years in the spotlight go by quickly, and once you're done, it's difficult to transition to something else. The job doesn't always offer long-term financial stability or career growth. You're part of a team, but as soon as the season ends or you're replaced by younger talent, your position can feel expendable. For many cheerleaders, the sudden shift from being on top to being forgotten is one of the toughest emotional challenges to face. But here's the reality. Despite all of this, cheerleaders keep going. They keep showing up for every game, every event, every performance because of their love for the sport and the team. They keep dancing through the exhaustion, pushing through the pain, and forcing smiles through the emotional struggle, because the joy of performing, the thrill of the crowd's energy, and the pride of representing a team is worth it, at least in those fleeting moments when everything aligns. Being a professional cheerleader may not be as glamorous as it looks, but it's a role that requires incredible strength, perseverance, and passion. It's not just about the glittery outfits or the routines, it's about giving your all for something bigger than yourself. Even when the spotlight fades and the applause dies down, a cheerleader is still there, pushing through the sacrifices, the pain, and the challenges, because they know how important their role is. And despite all the reasons it sucks, it's still worth it to be part of that moment, that energy, that team. The more you dig into the life of a professional cheerleader, the clearer it becomes that it's not just about the glitz and glamour. It's about sacrifice. Every time you step onto that field or into that arena, you're not just performing for the fans. You're also silently fighting against the physical, emotional, and mental challenges that come with the job. You might see the smiles, the flawless routines, and the high-energy performances. But behind that perfect facade lies a world of exhaustion, injury, and sometimes loneliness. The physical strain is constant, and it only increases as the seasons wear on. Your body is expected to do the impossible, performing high-flying stunts, jumps, splits, and acrobatics, all while maintaining energy levels that seem to defy reality. You're pushing your muscles to their breaking point, and injuries are common. Sprained ankles, pulled muscles, bruised ribs, these are just part of the job. And when you're injured, you're expected to keep going. Cheerleading isn't about resting or recovery, it's about pushing through the pain, whether you're physically ready or not. But the hardest part might be the emotional toll. As a cheerleader, you are constantly on. You're expected to be positive, upbeat, and full of energy no matter how you feel on the inside. Personal struggles or exhaustion are things you simply can't show. It's emotionally draining to maintain that facade of perfection, especially when you're dealing with the mental strain of constantly being judged for your looks, performance, and demeanor. You can't afford to have an off day because you're not just performing for your team, you're performing for an entire crowd. You're expected to look flawless, to bring the energy, and to stay in top shape year-round. But the emotional exhaustion is real, and over time, it can wear you down. Then there's the lack of recognition. The players score the goals, the coaches get the praise for their strategies, but you're expected to stay in the background, supporting everyone else. Sure, you might get some cheers from the crowd, but when the game is over, it's the athletes who get the interviews, the media attention, and the glory.
You're left in the shadows, even though you've worked just as hard. Your routine might be flawless, and the crowd may be chanting your name. But when the spotlight dims, you fade into the background again, like you were never there. And let's not forget the constant pressure to stay relevant. In a world where youth and beauty are often seen as the gold standard, you're always competing with younger cheerleaders, and your career can come to a swift end once you start aging out. It's a job with a short shelf life. It's not like other careers where you can work hard and climb the ladder. You can only perform for so long before your body starts to give out or your team brings in fresh faces. That constant fear of being replaced can make the job feel even more isolating and uncertain. But despite all of this, professional cheerleaders keep coming back. Because, in the end, it's not just about the job. It's about the passion for the performance, the love for the team, and the pride in being part of something bigger.
Even though the physical toll, emotional exhaustion, and lack of recognition make it feel like it sucks, the few moments of pure joy when everything clicks, when the crowd is roaring, and when the team is united, that's what makes it all worth it. The grind, the pain, and the challenges are hard, but for those moments when you're at your best, everything else fades away. Being a professional cheerleader is hard work, dedication, and sacrifice, but it's also about living for those high-energy moments, knowing that, despite the struggles, you're part of something bigger. It might suck at times, but that doesn't stop you from cheering. You keep going, because for those brief seconds of triumph, it's all worth it. In the end, being a professional cheerleader is a lot more than just performing in front of a crowd. It's about constant dedication, maintaining an image, and sacrificing your body and mental health for the team. It may not always be glamorous, but the moments of triumph and the love for the sport make it all worth it. What's your take on the challenges of being a cheerleader? Let's keep the conversation going. Drop your comments and thoughts below.